Hi, boys and girls. I hope that you guys are having a great day. It is Miss Granger again, and we are going to be talking about author's purpose again. I want you to remember that it's easy as pie. Authors are writing to persuade us to do something, they're writing to inform us about something, or they're writing to entertain us, okay? Those are like your AR books, things that you read for fun. So, what we're going to do today is we are going to read through this passage about emperor penguins, and we're going to annotate it, okay? And remember, the first time that we read through, we're reading through for the gist of the story, okay? What is this about? And then we like to work smarter, not harder. So if we have the questions first, let's read the question so that we know what it is that we're looking for. So our question is, what was the author's purpose for writing the above passage? So I want you to be thinking about, why did the author write this? You can see to persuade, to inform, to explain, or to inform, okay? So I want you to be paying attention as to why the author wrote this passage. So what we're going to do first is we're going to read through for the gist. So let's just see, when we're reading for the gist, remember we are reading through to figure out what is the passage about. Then we're going to read through and we're going to annotate it a little bit. Emperor penguins have a unique breeding behaviors that are unlike any other penguin species. Following courtships that last several weeks, each female penguin lays one single egg and then departs to retrieve food from the sea. It takes about 65 days for the female penguins to make their entire journey to the sea and back to their eggs. While the female penguins are gone, the fathers balance the eggs on their feet. They keep the eggs warm by covering them with their brood patches, a thick layer of feathered skin. The male emperor penguins huddle together, protecting their eggs during the coldest and darkest parts of the year in Antarctica. Male emperor penguins typically lose half of their body weight during this period. The female penguins usually return with food for their chicks just a few days before the eggs hatch. The male partners who have been anticipating the partner's arrival leave immediately for their opportunity to travel to the sea for food. When the chicks hatch from their mother, each mother feeds the chick by regurgitating food it has already eaten directly into the chick's mouth. For the next several months, the males and females alternate duties caring for their chick and hunting for fish to eat. So we've read it for the gist, so now we kind of know a little bit more about emperor penguins. And you might be kind of already starting to think about why the author has written this text, okay? So we're going to work together. You're going to have to bear with me as we go through and annotate this passage. So emperor penguins have unique breeding behaviors that are unlike any other penguin species. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to circle this, breeding behaviors, because I may be like, Miss Granger, I don't know what that is if we're breeding. So breeding behaviors that are unlike any other penguin species. Following courtships. Ooh, Miss Granger, what is a courtship? A courtship is going to be like dating, okay? So, I know it's kind of hard to write right here. If we were annotating, we'd put dating right there. That lasts several weeks. Each female penguin lays one single egg and then departs to retrieve food from the sea. So I'm going to highlight this part right here. So the female penguin lays one single egg and then departs or leaves to retrieve food from the sea. It takes about 65 days for the female penguins to make the entire journey to the sea and back with their eggs. I'm going to underline that because that to me seems really important. That's a long time. That's more than 2 months. If you think about it, usually a month has on average about 30 days. And this is 65 days. So that's almost 2 months. We'll put that there. 2 months as best as I can. Whoop. 2 months. That's crazy. While the female penguins are gone, the fathers balance the eggs on their feet. And I'm kind of making a connection here, okay? I'm making a connection, so I'm going to put that symbol there. I don't know if many of you have seen the movie Happy Feet, but I remember in Happy Feet, the mom goes off, and I know the dads, I remember seeing them all kind of sitting there with the eggs. So they keep the eggs warm by covering them with their brood patch. What is a brood patch? This to me is unfamiliar, so I'm going to circle this, a brood patch, a thick layer. Oh, look at that. The author has answered my question. It's a thick layer of feathered skin. Huh. The male emperor penguins huddle together, protecting their eggs during the coldest and darkest part of the year in Antarctica. I'm going to highlight that because I'm wondering, well, where are the emperor penguins? Well, they're in Antarctica. Male emperor penguins typically lose half of their body weight during this period. Oh, I'm going to underline that too. And you might be thinking, well, Miss Granger, how are they losing their weight? Well, it's because they're staying with the eggs, so they're not going to hunt, they're not going to eat. So they're losing weight while they're there. The female penguins usually return with food for their chicks just a few days before the eggs hatch. So in my head, I'm thinking back. Okay, so they're coming back a few days before before the eggs hatch. And I know that they're gone for about 65 days. So it probably takes about maybe 70 days, give or take a couple days, for those eggs to hatch with the chicks. So that's not too long, if you think about it. The male partners who have been anticipating their partner's arrival, okay, you might be trying to wonder what the word anticipating is. That means that they're looking forward to it. So they're looking forward to their partner coming back, probably because they get to eat then. They leave immediately for their opportunity to travel the sea for food. So they're really hungry. So they get really excited when the female penguins come back because they get to go to the sea and go hunting. When the chicks hatch from their eggs, each mother feeds its chick by regurgitating food it has already eaten. Ooh, regurgitating, that's a big word. That might be an unfamiliar word. So regurgitating food it has already eaten directly into its chick's mouth. So the mom has already eaten the food, okay? It's kind of gross, but the food is in the penguin's stomach. And so the penguin kind of regurgitates it or kind of throws it back up to feed the chick. So that's what regurgitating means. For the next several months, the males and females alternate duties, caring for their chick and hunting for their fish to eat. So if they're alternating, that means they're switching, okay? One will keep an eye on the baby chick, one goes to hunt, and then when one comes back, they switch. So what was the author's purpose for writing the above passage? Was it to persuade readers how brave male emperor penguins are? Was the author really trying to persuade us about anything? Trying to get us to do something? Trying to get us to think something? Not really. So I'm going to cross this one out. I don't think it was to persuade me. Was it to inform readers of the unusual breeding behaviors of male and female emperor penguins? Well, that's a possibility. So I'm going to put a question mark here as I go through the rest of them. That's a possibility because, I remember we're talking about breeding behaviors. So maybe, but let's go through and let's just make sure. Was it C, to explain how the male emperor penguin successfully keeps its egg warm? Okay, was that the only thing that it talked about? Are they trying to explain that to us? Not really. It kind of talks about some other things. So I'm going to go ahead and cross this one out so that I know that it's not that one. And then D, to inform readers of the use of an emperor penguin's brood pouch. So is the whole passage about this patch? It's not. So I'm going to go ahead and cross this one out too. That's part of it, but that's not what the whole passage is about. So I'm going to circle B here. So for me, the author's purpose for writing this passage was to inform me, the reader, of the unusual breeding behaviors of male and female emperor penguins. Okay, so that's why the author wrote this passage. And as you can see, we went through and we annotated, we highlighted important things. We circled unfamiliar words. We made connections to a movie that we've seen. And so we were able to figure out what the author's purpose was. So what you guys are going to do now is on Class Kick, you have another passage about penguins. And you're going to see, you'll read through about Percy. And so you are going to try to figure out what the author's purpose for writing this passage was. So remember, the first time I want you to read through for the gist, okay? What is the passage about? Remember, we like to work smarter, not harder. So go ahead and take a look at your question. Be thinking about what the author's purpose is while you're reading, okay? And then I want you, it's not showing it on mine, but you are going to have the pen tool and the highlighter tool up top. And I want you to kind of work through as best you can. I know it can be a little challenging sometimes to try to practice annotating this. Circle any unfamiliar words that you may see. Underline or highlight things that you think are important, okay? Especially things that you might think contribute to what the author's purpose is. And then when you get down here, you are going to select A, B, C, or D. Do not worry about E, but A, B, C, or D for what the answer is. When you finish this one, I want you to turn it in, and then you are going to read a very short passage about the desert, okay? Remember we talked about the desert when we were talking about different habitats. So you are already familiar with what a desert is. So I want you to read through about deserts, okay? And then you're going to do the same thing that you did yesterday. What is the main idea of the passage, the desert? And then I want you to give me 2 details from the text that support that main idea. Remember, you've always got to have text evidence. Why do you think that's the main idea? So you guys are going to be working on those 2 things, and I will see you tomorrow to work some more on author's purpose. Have a good day.